Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon, Arizona Mountain Standard Time here on YouTube, and then I post it up to Facebook. So this video is for educational and informational purposes only. If you feel you need a therapist, please go to Google, type in therapy, your city, Psychology Today will pop up, click on that, and it will have all of the therapists in your area. Also, the views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other goddamn therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. Woo! Hi, guys. Okay, so next week, next Sunday, the show will be on at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I've got a scheduling conflict, so it will be on at a different time next week, just to let you know. So if you show up at noon, I won't be here. But if you show up at 6, I'll be here, or 9. Time zones, weird. Anyway, so there is that. Okay, so just to get a couple of things out of the way. Shahida Arabi's book is amazing. Amazing. If you were raised, and we're going to talk about this today, if you were raised by narcissistic wild feral wolves, werewolf, yeah, pretty much. This is a great book. It's a fantastic book. I love Shahida Arabi. I think she's amazing. And I love her book because she gives great information. She actually talks to people. She interviews people. She's amazing. This is a great book. It's called Healing the Adult Child of Narcissistic Parents. So great book. Get it, read it, share it. Also, speaking of sharing, share these videos. Share the living crap out of these videos. The cool thing is I get emails from people and texts from people and things like that saying, oh my God, I left my abuser. A year later, he was with somebody else and now he's in jail because he killed them. So these videos save lives, guys. So share with a side of share, an extra helping of share, and please, for the love of God, share. So if something speaks to you, it's going to speak to somebody else. So share these videos far and wide. Also, if you are interested in purchasing these books, they are available on Amazon. They are available on soft copy, paperback, also on Audible and on Kindle. So you can go to Amazon and find these bad boys. So there is that. And I do the narration on them, so you get to hear my voice doing it. All right, what is coming up? July 4th, I just got my Mensa registration. I will be speaking at the Mensa convention in Phoenix at the Sheraton Grand on July 4th at 3 p.m. I will be talking about the book, You Can Lead a Horse to Water, but You Can't Make Him Cha-Cha. So I'm going to talk about abuse, why some people get into abuse, why some people stay in abuse, how do you help them get out, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I will be talking about. That's the next thing coming up. July 6th, Santa Barbara. So if you're interested, go to Eventbrite, Chris Godinez Eventbrite, or Mercury Eventbrite, Chris Godinez. I'm there. Go sign up for that stuff. The next one after that is St. Paul, Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you are interested in going, please sign up before June 15th, because if you don't, I'm not getting tickets to fly out. So I need enough people to sign up to do that, okay? All right, those are the ones that are coming up. Anaheim is August 3rd. Okay, we got lots to talk about. So I have had several requests to do something on family systems, family dynamics. How does it look like? Because I talk a lot about the romantic relationship, like what it looks like when you're in a romantic relationship. And people are like, well, what does that look like in a family relationship? Oh, it's fucked up. So here we go. All right. So in a really dysfunctional, toxic family system, okay? And if you have questions, just put question and then write it out, and then they'll put it up on the monitor for me so I can see it. I'm going to take questions at about the half an hour mark. So, all right, in a really messed up family system, there's roles that the abusers force us to play. So they insist that people be the golden child, okay? So the golden child is can do no wrong. Golden child can do no wrong. And so the abuser, whether it's male or female, puts all of their energy into the golden child. The golden child is perfect, can do no wrong. They are perfect. Then you have generally, oh God, allergies are so bad right now, guys. Oh my God. These I'm going to be taking off of eBay for a little bit because I'm running out and I'm getting a new shipment in. So I will put these back up on eBay, but they're not on right now. But if you want to buy them, we'll talk. So anyway, there it is. Hold on. All right. So where was I? Then you have the ignored middle child. Okay. So this kid can't be bad enough, can't be good enough, can't do anything enough for the abuser. And the abuser just ignores them. They're like ignored middle child, kind of, they're there, but they're not there kind of thing. Then you have the youngest one, which is usually the comedian of the family. They're the ones that try to be the the go-between. They try to make things calm. They try to help people. They try to, make it light. They try to, do that type of thing. So those are kind of the dynamics in a dysfunctional family. And the thing with an abuser is that people have got to follow those boxes. So they insist on shoving the kids into well, you're the smart one. You're the cute one. You're the dumb one. You're the problem child. You're this. Oh, and the black sheep. I forgot to talk about the black sheep. Okay, black sheeps. Black sheeps cannot do anything right ever. God love them. So it's like they'll try and try and try and try, and eventually they give up and they're just like, fuck you, I'm just going to do whatever. Because no matter what they do, it's wrong. They are the identified scapegoat. They're the one that the abuser just goes after and just, it's your fault, you guns. You did this, you did that, you're bad, you're wrong, you're this. They project all of their own childhood shit onto that kid. And that poor kid just gets hammered with just crap. So that is, in a nutshell, what a dysfunctional family system looks like. The abusive parent, whether it's male or female, shoves those kids into very specific roles. They have to be perfect, okay? Perfect pictures. How many of us, raised by cuckoos, okay, grew up going, I have to be perfect. 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 Well, what that does is that shoves that kid who's got that expectation of perfection into analysis paralysis. So the perfect pictures are so huge in their head that they have a hard time making a decision, moving forward, doing anything that will actually help them, because they've got this voice in their head going, oh, it has to be perfect. 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 The reason that we've got the perfect pictures going on is because the abuser is the least perfect person walking on the face of the planet. They have got so many issues, it's not even funny. And so what they do, like any addict, they demand that that kid, that representation of who they are, because that's how they see children. They do not see children as children. They do not see kids as being individuals. It's kind of like, I don't know if you remember Monty Python, Life of Brian, where he's standing at the balcony. He's like, you're all individuals. And they go, we're all individuals. And then one guy goes, I'm not. So, but that kind of thing. It's like they don't see children as individuals. They see them as a representation of themselves, or they see them as a tool or an object that has no more meaning than this book. Okay, it's an object. It's an object. And so what they do is they project all of their shit onto the kids, good, bad, or indifferent. So with the perfect pictures, they're projecting that everyone has to be perfect around them. Because if everyone around them is not perfect, then that means they're not perfect, and they don't like that. So mistakes are not allowed. Mistakes are not allowed. They damn that kid for making a mistake. And I hate to break it to you, how do kids learn how to walk? They fall. That's how they learn balance. If you never let your kid fall, or if your kid falls and you sit there and berate them for it, they're going to learn very quickly, don't move. Don't exist. Don't have a thought. Don't let the predator see you. That's where the freeze comes from. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So it's really frightening, because the abusive parent, the narcissistic parent, or even sometimes the malignant borderline parent, will make it so that one of the kids has got to be perfect, got to be perfect, got to be perfect. It's usually the golden child. Got to be perfect, got to be perfect, got to be perfect. And if a mistake is made, they either, and don't ever let them hear the end of it, or they get very, hurt and angry, and you fucked up and done it. Why did you do that? It's like, shit, mistakes happen. Okay, get the fuck over it. But with a narcissistic parent, that doesn't occur, because they have to have perfection around them to reflect back on them that they themselves are perfect, which, as we all fucking know, is the not truth. So they're not perfect. So they shove the kids into these roles. They also, like I said, pick on the scapegoat, because now they can project. So again, they're projecting all of their foibles, all of their faults onto this poor little scapegoat. And the scapegoat is just like, what the fuck? Where did this come? They can't do anything right. They cannot do anything right. And it's because they won't let them be anything right, because they are projecting all of their shit onto this kid. So they're externalizing it. It's you, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. All right. Now, somebody was asking, what does that look like with a dynamic between a narcissistic mom and a daughter? Okay, this can play out so many different ways. The most common that I have seen is that the narcissistic mom is in competition with the daughter. And I mean for everything, for time, attention, sexuality, looks, hobbies, you name it, they try to take it over. So, what I have seen narcissistic mothers do is one of two things. The most common one is the competition. So, it's this, I don't even know how to describe it. It's this creepy kind of smarmy, subtle, sometimes not so subtle, I'm better than you, which is crazy because it's a kid. You should be helping your kid to grow and change and do great and excel and all this sort of good stuff. But what a narcissistic mom does is they get into competition. It's like mommy dearest. It's like, don't you dare be better than me. Don't you dare be smarter than me. Don't you dare be prettier than me. Don't you dare be more talented than me. Don't you dare be more creative than me. And so they get into this weird competition. I have seen narcissistic mothers and mothers-in-laws hit on the boyfriend, on the spouse, the in-law, the son-in-law, just do all sorts of crazy, weird, bizarre behavior. It's a competition. It's always a competition. To them, it's got to be a one up, one up, one up, one up, one up. Same thing goes with dads with sons. So narcissistic dads with sons tend to do the same thing. It's a competition. They've got to be faster, stronger, better, more manly, whatever the bullshit is. So they do this to their own sons. And oftentimes what both of these types of parents do is they do something called infantilization. So what they do is they turn the kid into something or someone who is completely and totally dependent upon them. So they hobble them. 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 And then they point the finger and go, oh, what a loser you are. How come you can't hold a full-time job? How come you don't have your own money? How come you don't, fill in the blank? And it's like, okay, wait a minute. Wait. You sabotage them going to school. You sabotage them getting a job. You made sure they couldn't get to their job. You did all sorts of weird stuff to make sure that they couldn't keep the job. This is what they do. And then they turn around and go, you're a loser. You're this, you're that, you're the other thing. So this is the scapegoat stuff that they're doing. So there is that. Now, when we get into the incredibly dysfunctional behavior, let's talk about siblings. Okay, so siblings involved. What they will do is they will turn one sibling against the other. It is a game of divide and conquer. This is what these fuckers do. So they'll take siblings, because in a normal, healthy family, siblings, yes, there will be some sibling rivalry. It happens. It's going to happen. But it's not allowed to get to the point of pathology. It's not. But in these families where you've got an abusive or two parents, that's their game. It's like Gladiator. Okay. And they turn the kids against each other, and they divide and they conquer, and they say one thing to one kid. They do triangulation of communication. Well, your brother said such and such about your sister or you. Again, triangulation of communication. And the kids, because they were raised in this environment, don't realize this is not normal. Not normal. Triangulation of communication is not healthy, and it is not normal, and does not occur in healthy, normal families. Does not. So what the abuser is doing is they're the operator in this little game. Well, so-and-so said such and such about you, or that he thinks that about her, or whatever. So the way to stop that bullshit is, as soon as you figure out the game, you let your siblings know. You go, hey, you know what? We're not going to triangulate communication anymore. If so-and-so says that I've said something, how about you pick up the phone and call me? Let's cut that shit out. So that's what they do. They do this game of divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, because they want to be in control. And the only way they can be in control is if they've got everybody believing that, everybody else is the bad guy. Because remember, abusers have to have a villain. Even if they're the parent, they have to have a villain in and amongst the siblings. So they'll create one of the siblings being the villain. or they'll create some drama. And then what they do is they literally sit back with a box of popcorn and watch the drama unfold as if they had nothing to do with it. And of course, they will culpable deniability. They will do that. I had nothing to do with this. What are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. So this is what they do. And it causes great damage to the family unit. It creates kids not speaking to each other for decades, and it's done intentionally, because if the kids ever got together and started comparing notes, they'd figure it the fuck out that mom or dad or both are batshit motherfucking crazy. So that's why they do the divide and conquer. That's why they do the triangulation of communication. Now, if one of the siblings is disordered, because this was another question that I got, if one of the siblings is disordered, they will be abusive like nobody's business. They're like a little flying monkey for the abusive mom or dad. And they will abuse, 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 abuse. Oh, I didn't do anything. Abuse, 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 abuse. I didn't do anything. Abuse, abuse, abuse. And then the other siblings are like, what the actual fuck, mom or dad? Do something. And then the abusive parents don't ever protect the kids. Don't get me started, because that fucking pisses me off. So it's like this sibling is just allowed to do whatever. And then the parents make excuses. If they're disordered themselves, they make excuses, they deny, they rationalize, they do whatever they're going to do. And they do not protect the other siblings from this sibling. Could be male or female. This is non-discriminatory. It's like, narcissism strikes both males and females. Borderline strikes both males and females. It drives me crazy when people are like, oh no, this is a female disease. Fucking bullshit, motherfucker. It strikes both males and females. And narcissism strikes males and females. So it's not one or the other, and it's not, oh, more of this or more of that. No, I've seen it pretty much equally across the board. So these people do not protect their children. They eat their young, is what I like to say. And they don't care that a sibling, an older sibling, is abusing the shit out of the younger siblings. As long as they're not being bothered, they could care less. Fuck them. So, okay, so that is in a nutshell what is going on in a dysfunctional family system. So what can you do? Well, when you're in the dysfunctional family system, you don't even realize it's dysfunctional until you can get out of it, or you have some space to go, oh, wow, that's so not normal. I don't see other families doing this. Seriously, because if you're in the toxic environment, it is exceedingly difficult to heal from it if you're continuing to be badgered by crazy mom and dad, crazy siblings, crazy aunts and uncles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I saw this one of the sites posted a little 10-minute video on dysfunctional families, and I agreed with it right up until the very end. And they were listing out all the things that I'm talking about to you now, the ways that they behave, the ways that they act, the things that they do, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at the very, very end, it pissed me off because they were like, oh, but don't break contact. You don't want to do that. Bullshit, motherfucker. Abso-fucking-lutely you want to break contact. Here's the deal. Here's the question to ask yourself. If you were not related to any of these assholes, would you have anything to do with them? And if the answer is no, which 9 times out of 10 it's going to be, act accordingly. If you choose for some reason to stay in contact with them, you must have good boundaries. This is not an, oh, I might have good, no, you must have good boundaries, and you must practice gray rock, and you must be comfortable with saying the word no, and not just no, but fuck you no, and hell no, and hell to the no, and fuck you hell no. Seriously, these people do not understand boundaries. You've got to understand this. Mother-in-laws that are narcissistic, dad-in-laws that are narcissistic, what they will do is they will, and they have, gone through people's dresser drawers. They go through their mail. They try to get as much information as they possibly can, and then they will turn around and use it against the person. So the example that they used in the video that I watched was a great one, is that the mother-in-law was in the bedroom and going through her drawers and was like, why do you have a dildo? And I was like, well, it's none of your fucking business. And they do that. Literally, I have had clients sit on my couch and tell me these stories. It's like when I see it in a video, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is universal. Oh yeah, this is absolutely what they do. This is absolutely how they behave. So yeah, there is no privacy. There is no boundary. And they will, mothers-in-laws, dad-in-laws, toxic parents, they will infringe on whatever child has managed to get out of the family system, gotten into a healthy relationship. What they'll do is they'll just show up at the door and expect to be entertained, or they'll demand that you spend all of your time and attention with them at Christmas or Easter or birthday or whatever. They don't allow the couple to become a couple and be their own unit. Okay. What they want is they want to make sure that they are still in control. That's really what this is all about. Again, you show me somebody who's abusive, you show me somebody who's disordered. It is a game of power and control. They want to make sure that they have the power and they have the control, and that they are going to make sure that you don't have your own autonomy, and you do not want that. So if you are in a family dynamic, get the fuck out if you can. If you're an adult, get out, get therapy, start working on this stuff. Get boundaries. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Excellent book. Who's Pulling Your Strings? Harriet Breaker. Excellent book. So you want to do that. So with these people, it's like they use the Bible again, honor thy mother and father. Okay, but the very next line, and I believe it's Ephesians, is parents, do not bring your children to anger, period. Goes both ways. So yeah, and so they use guilt, they use fear, they use obligation. Fear, obligation, and guilt. That is called the narcissistic fog. Normal, healthy relationships do not have fear, they do not have obligation, and they do not have guilt. And if they do, you're not dealing with a normal or healthy relationship. That's pretty much all I can say about that. So when they start guilt tripping and when they start demanding, your time, when you're married and you're starting your own family and you're, trying to spend time with your spouse, or you're trying to spend time with your kids or whatever, you got to draw strong boundaries. If you don't want to kick them out completely, then you must have got rock solid boundaries and be comfortable with the word no. Because if you don't, and if you aren't, they are going to run roughshod over your life, and you do not want that, period. Okay, so now if we're going to get into really, really, really dysfunctional families. Okay, so trigger warning, letting you guys know this. So in super dysfunctional families, what ends up happening is there's a second parent or a second wife or a second husband. So if they're not infantilizing the person, what they are doing is they are making them responsible for the spouse role. And that can go into incest, okay? At the extreme end, when you're dealing with a dark triad and you're dealing with psychopaths, yes, they will do incest at this point, male and female. And they will sexualize the children. And they will make the daughter become the wife. They'll make the son become the husband. They'll, do things with them that they shouldn't. This is the other thing that extremely dysfunctional families do. They use the kids as counselors. They use the kids as confidants. You cannot fucking do that. I'm sorry. A 10-year-old does not need to know what is going on, with you sexually or, emotionally because of a divorce going on. It's it's not the 10-year-old's problem. The 10-year-old needs to be a 10-year-old. And that means playing and learning who they are and growing and having fun and hanging out with their friends. What an abusive parent will do is they will prevent the child from having friends. Absolutely. They'll isolate them because that's what fucking abusers do. They will isolate them, and then they will use them as their therapist, as their confidant, and they will tell them it's emotional incest, and they will tell them all this stuff that the poor little kid is just sitting here going, I could have lived my whole life and never heard that. Thanks. So it's not healthy, it's not normal, and it's not good. So they also use the older kids to be babysitters. Now, that's fine every once in a while, but if it's done consistently and it's done so that the parent is barely raising the children and it's all an older child raising these younger ones, no, that is not healthy. That is not normal. That is not the way a family is supposed to be run. Meanwhile, the narcissistic parent is out hoeing around or drinking or drugging or whatever, Slightly different if the family is having to work 2 or 3 jobs to just survive and the older kid is helping. Still not a great situation. That puts too much pressure on the older kid. What if something happens? God forbid. That is a horrible position to put a child in, to be in charge of other children. And then if something goes south, holy shit, that older kid is fucked, like not healthy, fucked in the head for life if something happens to one of those kids. So yeah, it just, dog face, banana patch really pisses me off, really. So they use the kids as a second spouse, as a second husband, as a second wife. They sexualize them. They use them as babysitters. They use them as the second mom, the second dad. They abdicate responsibility. Even when they have the ability to be there parenting, they choose not to. So it's not like they're going to a second job or a third job. They're going off drinking. They're going off partying. Well, I deserve it because I've had such a rough week. I'm sorry. When you have children, you put them first, you fucking assholes. So, you don't put your wants and your needs first. You put your kid first. It's kind of like, you got to take care of them. You got to take care of them. I mean, yes, you put your wants and your needs as in food, shelter, sleep. Yeah, for sure. Turn around and help the kid, but you don't go out and fucking party because you deserve it. When you've got children at home that need you, you don't turn it over to an older child and hope that nothing happens. Ugh, God. All right. So in those kind of family dynamics, those kids that get the ultra responsibility put onto them are groomed like nobody's business to then grow up and go into abusive relationships because their wants, their needs, their desires were always absolute last on the list. Absolute last. They were never allowed to play. They were never allowed to make friends. They were never allowed to go to the prom. They were never allowed to date. Oh my freaking God. So this is all about the control. So an abusive parent will make it so the kid cannot date at all. Period. And I'm sitting here going, okay, you know what? This is part of normal interaction. Teenage years is when we're supposed to go out and date and figure out who we are, what we like, what we don't like, who we want to date, who we don't want to date, all that sort of good stuff. And if you've raised your children well, they've got a good sense of self-esteem. They know who and what they are. They've got good boundaries. They aren't afraid to use the word no. They aren't people pleasers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But these abusive parents, it's like they get jealous. They do. They get jealous. It's like, you can't date. And it's different if the kid doesn't want to date, because there are just some kids that are like, no, I'm not interested. Okay, cool. If that's really your thing, then okay, that's cool. And you focus in on whatever it is you're focusing in on. That's great. But if the kid wants to date and the parent is like, no, 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 and then starts accusing them of going out and whoring around, because that's what I often hear narcissistic parents do, when it turns out, oh, gee, they were the ones that were out whoring around when they were the kid's age. Huh, funny how that works. So, anyway, so there's that. All right. So when you're in the dysfunctional system, there's not a whole lot you can do. And it breaks my heart because sometimes I get teenagers that are like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? The only thing you can do if you're a teenager and you're in one of these messed up, fucked up, dysfunctional family systems, talk to your school counselor. That's the only thing you can do, really. Until you turn 18, there's nothing you can do, which sucks ass. It's the stupidest thing ever. It's like, I cannot tell you the number of custody battles that I have seen where the kids are like 15, 16, 17. They know they don't want to go with the abuser. They're like, hell no, thank you. I don't want to go with mom. I don't want to go with dad. They're abusive. This is what they've done, blah, 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 blah. And the courts are like, la, 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 la. They're minors. We're not going to listen to them. La, la, la. I'm like, fuck that shit. If they're 15, 16, and 17, and they're able to see the dynamics, because trust me, kids can see way more than we give them credit for. And they're listing the abuse out, then the fucking court system should fucking listen to them. And that fucking pisses me off because it's like, Jesus Christ almighty, how dare you send a kid back to an abusive parent that's already been investigated by DCS, and try to what is it called? Reunification. Reunification. There was one I posted not too long ago where the kid was sent back into an abusive relationship, right? And the kid ended up in the hospital. So, yeah, I'm a little passionate about that because kids have no voice. So anyway, all right, there that is. So those are the different family dynamics. It's like you have the mildly dysfunctional, and then you get the, oh my God, dysfunctional. All right, we're going to start with questions. Do all dysfunctional families hide secrets and act like everything's okay when everything is totally fucked? Yes. Oh my God, yes. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. So yeah, they absolutely do. My family's hue and cry was, well, every family acts like this. Every family acts like this. And I'm sitting here going, no, every family does not act like this, because I've been hanging out with my friends and I can see that their families do not do this fucked up shit that we do. So yeah, they absolutely do. It's denial. It's trying to rationalize the way they behave, etc. Yes, they all do that. The dysfunctional ones. The functional ones don't have to play those games. I am the black sheep in a narc home and went no contact 3 years ago with my mom. I can't stop ruminating and still want my voice to be heard. How do I get peace with my future? Get with a good therapist and start working it through. So here's the deal. When a family is dysfunctional, okay, the mom, dad, whoever is the abuser, they will never hear you. If they haven't heard you prior and you had to go no contact with them, they will never hear you. They will never hear you because they can't, because they got their fingers shoved in their ears going, la, 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 I'm right, everybody's wrong, la, 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 la. So you're never going to change them. So the only thing you can do is you work on you. You work on you. You go to a therapist, you start working on boundaries. You write and burn letters to the abuser. So here's the deal. Our amygdala, God love it, is stupid. It cannot tell the difference between a real threat, thought about a real threat, daydreaming about a threat, an emotional threat, thought about an emotional threat, or some shit that's happened in the past. It also cannot tell the difference between actually speaking to the abuser and writing it out. So you get it out of your head, you get it onto paper, you trot it out to the barbecue, you read it out loud once, you light it on fire, you let it go. Or you can mail it to yourself. Do not mail it to your abuser. Do not mail it to your abuser. Let me just say that again. Do not mail it to your abuser. You mail it to yourself. When you get it back in the mail, you burn it. You let it go. So you start working on that. That is how you calm that voice down. You can't change them, sweetheart. You cannot fix them because you did not break them. That's basically it. Okay, can the youngest sibling become the abuser? Abso-fucking-lutely. Anybody in the family can. Anybody can. The youngest can be the golden child. The youngest can be the scapegoat. The youngest can be the black sheep. The youngest can be the ignored one. It just depends on the family dynamic. So yes, the youngest one can absolutely become the abuser. And you have to remember too, is that in dysfunctional families, the abuser chooses who is switching roles. Okay, so like, if they get pissed off at the golden child, they'll pick somebody else to be the golden child, and now the golden child's the black sheep. And it gets confusing for everybody because it's up to the whims of the abuser who is in what role this week. So there's that. I am an only child and have experienced everything from my parents. Do they care? Do they care less if I'm alive or dead? Honey, without them in front of me, I don't know the situation. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. Generally, if the parents have been abusive, then, it's time to let them go. If a parent is abusive, period. If a parent is abusive, period, let them go. Let them the fuck go, because you don't need that. And the thing that I hear from people is, oh, I feel so guilty. Oh, I feel so scared. Oh, they're getting older. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Stop, breathe. If they truly had wanted people to be around them when they're old and truly wanted to be taken care of, they probably should have acted better. Simple as that. Same thing as, what I said about writing books. If you'd wanted me to say something nice, you probably should have acted better. That's really what it is. Chris, could you please talk about how and why you chose Gray Rock instead of no contact with your own parents? Thanks. Because I wasn't quite ready to go completely no contact. My mom was not as abusive as my dad, and there was something there with her. With my dad, there was no there. So what I did is I pretty much moved, 1,000 miles away. I moved from California to Oregon, stayed away, out of sight, out of mind with my dad. Honestly, it's like he very rarely called me, if ever. So with him, I would gray rock kind of thing when he did call. With my mom, I kept working on her. Because there was something there. There was a soul there. There was empathy there. And as I worked with my mom, I mean, if you read this book, you see how I dealt with it. My mom was raised by a narcissist. Her mother, my grandmother, was a complete and total narcissist. So it makes total sense why my mom behaved the way she did. And as we started working on it, and especially after my dad died, she started getting it. So that was way cool. And so, we worked on it until the day she died. So that's why, and you choose. And for my dad, I think it was kind of a no contact because I moved so far away. And with a narcissist, if they're not obsessive, if they're not like, the obsessive ex kind of thing, they tend to be like out of sight, out of mind. It's like, if you're not right in front of them, they don't even think about you. So with him, it was like, whenever I crossed his mind every 6 months or so, I'd get a phone call from him, and that was fine because I could handle that, So it depends. It depends on what you're working on, depends on what your ultimate goal is, depends on if there's movement. If my mom had showed no movement, if she had shown no understanding, if she had not asked questions and bought books and worked on it, I would have said, have a nice life. Bye, and gone no contact, but she didn't. So it depends. It depends on the situation. If they are absolutely unwilling to read books, unwilling to work on themselves, no empathy, no kindness, no nothing, that's when you go, no contact, have a nice life, go fuck yourself. Because there's no movement, there's no change. So it depends on the situation. My toxic mother, after a few years of no contact, decided to call the sheriff's office for a wellness visit on me Friday. Is this a common tactic? Yes. Oh my God. Yes, they will do that. So they get bored. Remember, they get bored. And especially the more psychopathic they are, the more bored they get. So they need to stir stuff up. So basically, if you've gone no contact, stay no contact, and you just let the sheriff's office know this, and you may need to drop by there and just say, hey, wanted to let you know there's a situation here. I am no contact with my mom. She just called to do a welfare check. So I'm fine, and I am no contact with her. So I just want to let you know, and they'll make a note of it. So there that is. The other thing that they do too is that and this is going to be something I'm going to need to discuss again, I think, sometime soon. In divorces, they will use the Department of Children's Services as a manipulation, intimidation thing. They'll call DCS on each other. Sometimes it's warranted, but a lot of times it's not. So it's a manipulation. So you just got to let the agency know what's going on, and you document. Yeah. All right, question. I am the black sheep scapegoat. I didn't really figure out my role or that my family was toxic until my wedding. Oh God, yes. Is it common for weddings to bring out the worst in narc abusers? Oh. Yes. Oh, snap. Oh, yes. So this is what happens. Life events bring out the best and the worst in people. When you get married, when somebody dies, when there's a will involved, you will know who your true family and friends are. Abso-fucking-lutely. So, yes. And it's because they are projecting and dealing with their own stuff, and you will know what's going on. Yeah, it does bring out the worst because, okay, remember, narcs especially do not like any event that is not directly about them. This is why they ruin birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, weddings. I've seen them ruin funerals. Oh yeah. So cuckoo. So, this is what they do. So yeah, any major life event is going to bring out the absolute best and the absolute worst in people. When they show you who they are, believe them. Believe them. So yeah, so there that is. And basically what you do is you try to make as many plans to keep the drama down to a minimum as possible. You assign groomsmen or bridesmaids to the abusers or to whoever you think might be a problem. And then what they're going to do is distract, or fawn, which will usually shut a narcissist up. So yeah, it is absolutely common. Funerals are the same thing. When there's a will involved, oh my God, you thought you could trust your siblings, and all of a sudden it's all, me, I, more, I'm greedy. So yeah, absolutely. These things, life events will bring out the best and the worst in people. Yep, you betcha. Question, my brother never talks about himself, hyper private, but demands all details of other people's lives and get angry when details are denied. What is this about? Okay. What abusers tend to do, and I don't know that your brother is abusive. I don't. But what abusers tend to do is they are very private about themselves. Okay, they do one of two things. They either spill the beans to get you to spill the beans so that they can gather information, or they're super private about themselves and they harvest information to be used on them at a point in time in the future. So they're gathering information, and to them, it feels like a rejection if the information is not forthcoming, because it's kind of like, well, why aren't you telling me? And like little kid, it's like a little kid thing. So it's a rejection for them, and narcissists don't deal with rejection well. So when somebody draws a boundary, because no is a boundary, and no, I'm not sharing this with you is a boundary, they get pissed. So yeah, that makes total sense. Can you address sexual abuse and incest within the family? Is reporting this kind of abuse now as an adult advised? I don't know what the laws are. I do know that there, in some cases, are statutes of limitations. And the thing that you've got to be really careful with. Okay, so here's the thing. Sexual abuse happens in families. Incest happens in these families. Abso-fucking-lutely. This is not unfortunately an isolated thing. Addressing it as an adult. Well, here's the thing. Yes, you can. If this person is still around and you think that they're going to be around children, abso-fucking-lutely you address it. Abso-fucking-lutely you spill the beans, because you want to protect whatever, other siblings or cousins or nieces or nephews or, whatever is going on. You want to make sure that everyone is protected. Be aware, however, as soon as you spill the beans, there's going to be a huge backlash. And this is why incest very rarely gets reported, because you've got a dysfunctional family system that's protecting the abuser. And when the target of abuse comes out and says, hey, Uncle Joe or dad or whatever, or mom or Aunt Bertha, sexually molested me, the other family members that are dysfunctional and are invested in that dysfunctional family system are going to rally around the abusers, and they're going to make you the crazy one. So if you do this, make sure you have got support, make sure that you are in therapy, make sure that you have got yourself prepared for the backlash, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then, the thing that they do that really pisses me off is, well, why didn't you say something at the time? Well, oftentimes kids do try to say something, and the abusers in the dysfunctional family system ignores it, or they poo-poo it, or oh, you've got an overactive imagination. Oh, you saw that on television. Oh, you're just trying to get attention, or it's just, oh, good God. Yeah, that's what they do. They absolutely, ignore. The kid is sitting there trying to tell people. When my dad was molesting me, I told my teachers. They ignored it, point blank, ignored it. Like they weren't going to touch it with a 20,000, 5,000 foot pole, whatever, because they didn't want the extra work. Now, legally, they are state mandated reporters, and those fuckers should have reported it, but they didn't. So, it is a really messed up situation with that. So as far as reporting it is concerned, I would say yes, to protect other family members. But again, you are going to have to be really aware that the dysfunctional family members that don't want change, that don't want to see it, that don't want to deal with it, that don't want to be responsible, that don't, whatever, are going to defend the abuser. They are, and they're going to make you the scapegoat, and they're going to really go after you. So you have to be ready to be like, okay, I am getting rid of these flying monkeys. I'm not speaking with them anymore. I'm not going to have anything to do with them, and be prepared. It's going to feel really funky, and it's going to feel really lonely. But if you have made people aware, then you've done your job. And that's really job well done. That's all you can do. So that sucks. Yeah, it does. It sucks. It really sucks. And it sucks that the family system rallies to the defense of the abusers as opposed to rallying to the child who has said, Aunt Bertha, Uncle Mike, dad, mom, whoever has molested me. And the way it should be is that they should rally to the kid, and they don't, and they rally to the abuser. So there that is. Hang on just a second. Okay, more questions, guys. If there's more questions, go ahead and ask them. You got me. So you might as well ask these questions. So the other question that I got, besides the sibling thing, was the extended family thing. So why is it that aunts and uncles jump on the bandwagon? Why is it that aunts and uncles jump on the let's abuse the black sheep, or let's praise the golden child? Well, again, you've got to take a look at the whole family system, the whole family dynamic. If they've all been raised with a dysfunctional system, their natural inclination and the way they've been groomed and the way they've been trained is to go ahead and protect whatever system is going on. So think of it this way. Change is terrifying. To a normal person, to a healthy person, change is a little terrifying. It's like, oh, this is new, this is different. Oh my God, I'm going to have to change. To a dysfunctional family, it feels like the end of the world. They can't imagine that it could possibly be better if they do things differently. So it really is a matter of they want to keep the status quo. So when you've got a family that is invested in a fucked up, dysfunctional system, no matter how fucked up and dysfunctional it is, they are invested in the status quo, because if you change, that means they have to change. And if they have to change, then other people in the system have to change. And if other people in the system have to change, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Oh my gosh, the power and control goes away. Oh my gosh. Truth shines a light on things. And this is why abusers don't like the truth. This is why they don't like it when family members do point out the abuse, whether it was sexual or not, because now there's a light shining on it. They're like cockroaches. My mother or father never called to see how I am doing. Zero interest in myself or my kids. Expects me to initiate all contact. Typical narc behavior. Yes, it can be. Yes, absolutely. So oftentimes what you'll hear narcs do, especially older narc parents, they never write, they never cool, they're never paying attention to me. It's never enough, never enough, never enough. But they never write. They never call. They never initiate contact. And when you do initiate contact, it's never enough. It's like, well, you need to call me every day. Well, no, I've got a life, So yes, narcissistic parents absolutely do that. They do the hue and cry of, I shouldn't be the one to initiate contact. You should be the one to initiate contact. Because again, it's that gravitas. It's that I'm special. I'm entitled. I'm the parent. So they wear the labels. They're real big about labels. I'm the parent. Therefore, I'm special. Therefore, I shouldn't have to reach out. You guns should read my mind and know exactly what I want. And you guns should be the one to initiate contact all the time. That is what abusers do, because they've got this sense of entitlement. They've got this sense of gravitas, that they're so important and they're so amazing and they are the patriarch or the matriarch or both or whatever of the family, and that you need to be the one contacting them. It's a game. It is a game. It is absolutely a game. Don't play it. If they don't initiate contact, don't initiate contact back. If you're happier without them, go for it. You owe them nothing. Just because they gave birth to you or was a sperm donor does not mean you owe them shit. They think they own you. They do. They absolutely think they own you because of that. They don't. So again, if you were not related to these people, would you in fact have anything to do with them? And if the answer is no, act accordingly. If they don't initiate contact, be done. Be done and be okay with it. But you're going to have to make sure you're okay with it. That's the thing. It's like, are you okay with this? And some people are not. Some people are like, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty. In which case I'm like, okay, we need to work on the guilt. Why are you feeling obligated? Why are you feeling guilty? What's the fear? And oftentimes the fear is, oh my God, I'm so afraid of them dying and dying alone. Well, you know what? If they die alone, that's on them. If they had wanted people around them, they should have behaved better, period. You owe them nothing. Zip, zero, zilch, nada. Okay, so the other question I get is it possible to heal the sibling relationship once you're out of the family system? Well, okay. Yes and no. So if the other siblings are willing to work on themselves, okay, like they've gone to therapy, or they're working on themselves, they're reading the books, they're recognizing the dysfunction, they understand that this is not normal, okay? Yes, it is possible to rebuild that relationship. If, however, one of the siblings or more was abusive and they're not working on themselves and they're not doing anything to change or to grow or to be different or make amends, because remember, abusers don't apologize. And if they apologize, it's a bullshit apology. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry you made me, I'm sorry I got caught, bullshit like that. Then no, there's no way you can fix that relationship. It's only if the siblings are working on themselves, recognize the abuse, understand what was happening, going to therapy. I strongly encourage inviting your siblings to come to therapy with you if they are not abusive. If they are abusive, do not go to therapy with an abuser. They will just use whatever you've said against you at a later time. So yeah, if they are working on themselves and there's space, and they're understanding that this was fucked up and dysfunctional, and they understand the fear, the obligation, the guilt, the narcissistic behavior. They're reading books like Shahida Arabi's. They're reading books like The Object of My Affection is in My Reflection, Coping with a Narcissist by Raquel Lerner. They're reading my books, which are all about, abuse. Then there's a chance that you can fix the family between you and the siblings. You're never going to be able to fix the abusive parent. That's not your job. Not your job. So you got to just let that go. But with the siblings, yes, there is a possibility. Okay, we got one more question, unless we have more coming in. Okay. Is part of healing from a toxic family kind of accepting the death of the person you thought your parents or siblings were? I feel like they're dead, but they're still here. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Absolutely. And this is the hardest kind of mourning to do. And here's the reason why, because the person's not dead. They're still here. And that's really hard to do because they're walking around. They're still there somewhere. But you're recognizing they're not the person you thought they were, or that they are showing you who they are, and it's not pretty. So yes, you are actually mourning the death of the illusion of who they were. Same goes with parents. Like when a kid really realizes, oh my God, mom and dad really did not have my best interest at heart. Holy shit. That rocks a kid to their core, because we're always raised with this lovely but sometimes unattainable idea that mom and dad love us and that they have our backs and that they want us to do well. With an abusive family, they don't have our backs. They don't want us to do well. They may or may not love us. If they're the abuser, obviously they don't. If they're the enabler to the abuser, obviously they don't. You don't enable an abuser to abuse kids. Sorry, that's not love. So it is very much like realizing the illusion, recognizing that none of this stuff that you grew up with was real. They can say pretty words, but their actions betray them as to who and how they really are. And it is mourning a death. It is. You're letting go of the illusion of them being good parents, or the illusion of them being a good sibling, or whatever. And it's heartbreaking. It is. So in that case, what you do is you treat it like a death. You abso-fucking-lutely treat it like a death. And you write it out. Get it out of your head. Get it onto paper. Dear, dear sibling, or, dear mom and dad, here's the good. There may be good. There may not be good. Sometimes when people do it, there's no good about them. Okay, then don't write the good. There is no good. Good, the bad, the ugly, the horrific. At the very, very end, you're going to take your power back. And you're going to be like, you know what? I'm raising the rent in my head. I see you for who and how you are. I refuse to allow you to live in my head rent-free one more minute. bye-bye, bye-bye now, bye-bye, or go fuck yourself, or whatever you need to say to them, then you read it out loud once, trot it out to the barbecue, burn it. And you will have to do this multiple times. This is not, when I do letter writing, it's not a one and done thing. It's like stuff will continue to bubble up. That's why I'm saying, get it out of your head, get it onto paper, burn it. Get it out of your head, get it onto paper, burn it. Deliver it. In other words, you deliver it to the fire pit. You know, you don't deliver it to them because it's not going to make any difference. Listen to me now, believe me later. Do not send any of these letters to these people. They won't get it. They won't get it. All it'll do is start a shitstorm, and you don't want that. So, but you do want to get it out of your head, onto paper, read it out loud, trot it out to the barbecue, let the smoke deliver the words wherever it needs to go. So it's get it out of your head, write it out, read it, deliver it. Get it out of your head, write it out, read it, deliver it. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. And it'll take several times. It really will. And your first letter, maybe, like I said, I had one that was 27 pages, teeny tiny little writing. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. If that's what you need to do, do it. Get out the anger, get out the sadness, get out whatever you need to. Let it go. Dear sibling, I am so disappointed that you are not the kind, supportive person that I would hoped that you had been. This is what I needed. This is what you were. And I refuse to allow you or anybody else to abuse me ever again. I'm raising the rent. Get out of my head. Thanks for playing. I've learned whatever lesson I need to learn. Fuck the fuckity fuck out of fucking fuck you. And goodbye, and burn it. Let it go. Okay. So this is family systems. Basically, when you get out of a dysfunctional family system, get into a therapist. Get into a therapist. Get into a therapist. Get into a good therapist. And start working on boundaries. The Disease to Please, Harriet Breaker. Then you want to also read the Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. You want to do the Inner Child Workbook by Catherine Taylor. You're having to rebuild who you are as opposed to what these people have told you that you were. You need to figure out who you really are in this world. You need to be with a good therapist to do that. The fear surrounding challenging the beliefs that were shoved into your head by your parents is huge, and it stops people. You know, people will be working on the book. They'll get to a part and they'll be like, I can't go any further. I can't go any further. I can't because I'm exposing them. To who? To your therapist? Okay. You know, so it's getting rid of that, being able, you know, being fearful of talking about it, being fearful of exposing them. They don't want to be exposed, and they've drilled it into our heads. Nobody needs to know. Nobody needs, this is our little secret. Blah, 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 blah. See, you know, all families act like us. No, they don't. You know, so you got to get with a good therapist. You got to start working those books. All the books that I recommend, start working them. CPTSD, From Surviving to Thriving by Pete Walker. Read it, work it, do it, read it again, work it again, do it 3 or 4 times, because it's going to be like peeling the layers of an onion. Same thing with the Catherine Taylor book. You're going to be like peeling the layers of an onion. You got to get back to who you are, not who they told you you were, or not who they shoved you into being. So there, oh, that is. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it good for tonight. Today, next week, I will be on at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Don't forget that. If you show up at noon, I won't be here. So, all right, that is it. Next week's is going to be on getting out of your comfort zone. Because in order to heal, you're going to be really uncomfortable, and you need to be able to get out of your comfort zone. So I'm going to talk about how to get out of your comfort zone, because remember, abusers are all about status quo, and we need to be all about expanding and growing. So next week, getting out of your comfort zone. Have a great week, guys. Be good to yourselves. Do self-care. Read those books. Take care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye.